There are thousands of gorgeous dogs that need a forever home. So, if you're looking to buy a new puppy, why not consider rehoming a dog instead? Here are our tips on rehoming rescue dogs. We'll tell you about 7 common issues in rescue dogs and how you can help. Number 7, poor social skills. Many shelter dogs don't know how to interact with other dogs, especially upon first meeting. Usually, there are 2 reasons: limited exposure, lack of positive experiences. Other dogs, as you probably guessed, hate this. Sadly, there's a critical social window that closes around the time a dog is 6 months old, after which it's very hard for them to unlearn these social instincts. But like almost everything else on this list, it's about desensitization and repeated good experiences. If your dog struggles with poor social skills, don't put them in positions where they're set up for failure. Work within their comfort zones at a slow pace and play the long game. It's also important to remember that dogs interact differently on and off leash. Speaking of on and off leash behavior, that leads us to our next common behavioral problem. Number 6, leash reactivity and barrier-related aggression. Leash reactivity generally stems from your dog's fear of being restrained in the presence of a trigger, such as another dog. The key to fixing leash reactivity and barrier-related aggression is understanding that your dog isn't reacting out of anger, but rather fear. Your dog feels trapped by its leash and can't move away from potential danger, such as another dog in the distance. Because it can't flee, the other half of its natural fight or flight instinct kicks in, and your dog hulks out. Number 5, anxiety. Anxiety, especially separation anxiety, is one of the most common behavioral issues with shelter dogs. There are many reasons a dog can develop anxiety, but they stem from the same root causes. While you can't always know what a dog's history was pre-shelter, you probably can imagine what it was like for your dog while they were at a shelter. Cold concrete and chain link confines. Loud sounds, weird smells, different people and dogs coming and going. Thick walls isolate them from all the commotion so they can never fully see what's happening. It's a traumatic experience. When you finally take your rescue dog home, how do they know they can trust you? And how eerie and deafening silence of your cavernous home must be after who knows how many sleepless nights in a tiny cage being woken up by the shelter's loud and less friendly inmates. The good news is there are things you can do to help a dog with anxiety. Tire them out. A tired dog is a happy dog. Anxiety often is exacerbated by excess energy, so give your dog plenty of exercise and mental stimulation, especially if you know you need to leave for an extended period of time. Similarly, you can't just leave your dog alone for 8 hours every day and expect them to get used to it. Number 4, aggression towards people and pets. There are many different types of aggression, from territorial aggression to fear aggression to social aggression. The ASPCA website has a great breakdown of them all. For shelter dogs, it often comes from a place of fear and anxiety because, as discussed above, shelters breed both. Aggression in dogs can take multiple forms, but usually it's to people and/or other pets. Speaking frankly, this is one place where you really need to look for a shelter dog that fits your family and your lifestyle. If you have other playful dogs or children in your home, it's probably best you don't bring an aggressive dog into the mix. Dealing with aggression can be both challenging and frustrating. In many instances, you can't cure the dog of its aggression. Number 3, resource guarding. If you've ever seen a dog snarling up from a food bowl as you get too close, you've seen resource guarding in action. Generally, resource guarding arises when dogs fear they'll lose something valuable to them. In many instances, it's a response to past traumas the dog has suffered. Because shelter dogs often have histories of being mistreated, it's no surprise resource guarding is so common among them. Like with many problematic behaviors, you have two choices when it comes to dealing with resource guarding: correct it, manage it. If you live in a home with no children and few other pets, management may be a fine course of action. Perhaps feeding your dog separately and exchanging treats for items they're holding in their mouth is enough to keep everyone happy. Many shelter dogs guard their food and toys because they've been taught to fight for what they want or need. Number 2, destructive behavior. A certain degree of chewing is natural in dogs. It keeps their jaws strong and teeth clean. But when it elevates to the level of, say, eating a couch, then there's a problem. Destructive chewing has many causes, but there are some common ones: stress, frustration, anxiety, lack of exercise, lack of mental stimulation. Unlike resource guarding, destructive chewing isn't something you should have to live with. Usually, it's just a matter of figuring out why your dog is being destructive and solving that issue. Destructive chewing is a symptom of another problem, such as anxiety, frustration, or boredom. But while you're helping your dog through their anxiety, stress, or boredom, there are some things to keep in mind that you should never do. Yell or hit them in response to their chewing. Muzzle them. Crate them for extended periods. Dogs are terrible at connecting your punishment to their actions, even minutes after the bad behavior happened. And even if you're able to act quickly enough for your dog to connect the punishment with the action, they're also horrible at generalizing. They probably won't get that you're mad about their chewing in general. They'll probably figure you're just mad they chewed that one thing. Number 1, house training regression. We all figure that when we adopt an adult dog, they'll already be house trained. It makes sense, and usually the dog you adopt was house trained at some point. But many shelter dogs experience house training regression, whereby they forget they're only supposed to eliminate outside. But thinking about both dog psychology and their shelter environment explains why many adopted dogs struggle to remain house trained. Because dogs are terrible at generalizing, they may not understand that indoors is off limits, just that their last home was off limits. When locked up in their kennels at the shelter, they probably were forced to eliminate inside their enclosure. Your new home has a ton of new smells, especially if you have other pets, and it's part of your dog's nature to mark their territory. Thankfully, rehouse training your dog is one of the easiest behavioral problems to correct on this list. Here are some easy tips to help. Establish a set feeding schedule. Establish a set routine and take them outside at the same time every day. Establish a bathroom spot and go directly there every time you go outside. Praise them every time they eliminate outside. Try to associate a word or phrase like potty every time they eliminate so that you can use it in the future to encourage them. Do share with us in the comments if you know about more tips for rescue dogs. Please subscribe to The Amazing Dogs. Thanks for watching.